Hey there, welcome to The Realtor Edgar, your ultimate guide to everything real estate in the vibrant city of Las Vegas. Are you dreaming of a new home or curious about the latest market trends? You're in the right place. Now let's get on with this video. Your house and ATM, we touched this a little bit here a little while ago here, where we're talking about a HELOC, a home equity loan line of credit, which can potentially, from what I understand, I've never done it to my home. And I'm the real estate expert. You're the lending expert. That's why we're having this conversation. What exactly is the HELOC? Does it work like a credit card or an ATM where you're using your equity in the way you want to use it?
So essentially, when you do a HELOC, it is a second mortgage on your property. So you have your first current mortgage, assuming you have a first mortgage,
Hmm.
and then you're tapping into your equity. So let's just say for the conversation, let's say you owe $100,000 on your first mortgage, but your
Hmm.
house is worth, call it $500,000. So you have $400,000 of equity in your property, and most lenders will give you up to 80 to some will go up to 90% loan to value of your property, and
Hmm.
they can give that to you in the form of a line of credit. So let's just take the 80%, for example, right? So 80% of 500,000 would be 400,000. So 400,000 minus the $100,000 that you owe on your first mortgage gives us $300,000 of equity that the bank could technically give you in the form of a line of credit. Now, the cool thing about a HELOC, like you mentioned, the mechanics of it are similar to a credit card. So if there's zero balance on it, there's no payment. But if I
Okay.
say, "Hey, Edgar, let's go on a trip to Miami. I'm going to pay for everything." We go out there, we spend $50,000. Now I've got a payment on $50,000 and I got to pay that off. Now, for most HELOCs, you have what they call a draw period, and that typically lasts for about 10 years. So I can charge it up, pay it down, charge it up, pay it down as many times as I want within that 10-year mark. But let's say
Okay.
after the end of the 10 years, I owe $100,000 on it because I never paid anything because I'm only paying the interest. Now I can no longer access the money, and I've got to make that payment in order to pay off that line of credit. So then what typically happens is a lot of buyers will refinance the home assuming they can qualify and assuming they have the equity and put that back into one mortgage.
Okay.
So the HELOC it's a double-edged sword. It can be very useful because you obviously have equity that you can use to make investments, right? Pay for things, make upgrades to your home, put some investments into your kid's college fund, whatever it may be. But if you go and blow the money on a boat, a car, a
Mm.
watch, vacations, and you
The
don't pay it
temptation.
and you don't pay it off, now you got a problem. So you
Okay,
got to be
so
very careful on that.
so if I understand it correctly, it is like tapping into your equity only if you need to. It's not doing a refinance where that money comes and then it goes into your bank account. It's more like an account that's held that if you want to, like you said, dip into it the
Yep.
correct way, not just buying cars and
Yeah.
vacations and whatever you want to buy. It's there when you need it, so you don't have to do refinance after refinance if you're not knowing how
Yep.
much you're going to need.
Yep. So
All right.
they'll typically give you like a debit card. They'll give you some checks that you can write. So it functions just like a checking account or a credit card. So that's the part where you got to be careful because again, you knowing in your head, I got 300 grand to my name, right? What's $1,000 here? What's $1,000 there? And next thing you know, you're like, dude, I spent 20,000.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's really easy to do nowadays, especially when you're not keeping track of it. And
Yep.
now having that, like you said, it is a credit card. How does the rates work on that? From what I understand, it's a variable rate, correct?
Correct. You do have some where they do offer fixed rate, but for the most part, HELOCs are going to be variable. And as you've seen the Fed raise rates over the last couple of years, so
Hmm.
have HELOC rates. And I can tell you for example, my HELOC, I was at 3%. Now it's at 10. So first mortgages are always going to be cheaper than home equity lines of credit because again, it's something that's in second position. So there's more risk that goes along to it. And so therefore they're going to charge a little more money when it comes to borrowing that kind of money. So you just got to be a little careful with that.
Okay. All right. Well, I learned something new today because, like I said, I've heard of it before. I've thought about it, before I did a refi on my house when these 2 to 3% were coming down, but I never really researched it because it's not something that immediately was like there. I was more interested in just lowering my payment, and I did tap into it into my equity a little just to build a pool because freaking summers are brutal here, but I didn't look into the HELOC, so thank you for clarifying on that. That's actually something I've learned today, along with whoever else is watching this video.
Yeah, those actually got a lot. I mean, it's not a new product, right? It's been around forever, but it just gained a lot more popularity over the last couple of years because so many people refinanced. They didn't want to touch their first mortgage. So what do you do in order to tap into your equity? You either look at a home equity line of credit, or there's also a product called a HE loan. It's a home equity loan instead. So it's
Mm,
similar
okay.
to it, but basically you are creating that second mortgage. So instead of you having access to the money, they would give you the money and then it's a fixed payment to pay it off. But a lot of people like the HELOC because there's a lot more flexibility to it.
Okay. Well, this is a lot of great information that we got today. I hope it helps somebody out there who's been, on the fence about trying to buy a home or trying to understand the process of it other than just, going and looking at homes, what it takes into it. I really appreciate the time you've taken to sit here with me and have this conversation so that
Of
it can
course.
help a lot of people out there. That's my mission here as a real estate agent. I'm not only just out there trying to meet a rich or make all this money. I want to help people because my experience when I first bought a home, because my background was I was a chef before I became a real estate agent, was when I bought this home that I'm living in now. My experience with the agent was just terrible. I was just like, I did all the work. I looked up all the houses. I sent them all the properties. I had to work on his time. So thinking back at that time, I'm like, dude, this guy helped me like nothing. And, at the time, you know, at the time, obviously things are changing now, but I don't want to touch that. We'll touch that on another video. But with commissions, I didn't pay him, but he did make a good chunk of change from the seller paying that commission. And going back to that experience, I go, man, I wouldn't want anybody else to go through that. So when I decided to become an agent, I'm like, look, my goal as an agent is to inform people, to educate so that they make the right choice. They don't just buy because this is going to be one of your biggest, if not the biggest purchase you'll ever make in your life.
Absolutely.
And it's going to affect you throughout, some people will end up leaving it for their kids. This is their contribution as far as an inheritance to their kids. They'll buy a home, sit on it, and then pass it on to their kids. So it's something that I want to make sure that me as an agent, I help people out and that they're learning not only to buy a home, but to understand everything that comes along with it.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate your time. Again, this is Sean, guys. I'm gonna put all this information down on the bottom as well as mine. So if you want to reach out to him, I'm pretty sure you'll have somebody standing by on your team to accommodate. Again, thank you. This is a lot of good information. I appreciate your time. All right.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you for joining us on this series about lending and the process. If you like videos such as this, please let me know in the comments so I know to put more of these videos on. I hope you found this helpful. And if you do, please like, follow, and subscribe. That way you're never behind on any of the videos that I put out. Thank you again for joining us. My name is Edgar with eXp Realty. Hope to see you on the next one.